Welcome everybody to episode 1 of the Timely Pursuits channel. I'm Azad.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're here to deliver this casual and informative, opinionated and superfluous show where we talk about horological happenings and what's going on in our watch collecting lives. Thank you very much for joining us on our very first episode. Bear with us, this might be a little bit rough, but I'm hoping that we will improve it over time.
Yes, let's hope so, definitely. I'm sure we will.
So how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm very well, not too bad at all. It's January, it's a bit grey outside, but doing okay. What about you?
Similar. I've just got over a pretty horrible flu, which I think knocks me out well, knocks all of us out really for quite a few days. But I'm excited to get out there again and see many of the collectors. I know events are just about starting again. So looking forward to a big year for horology.
Yes, they should be. There is a lot going on already. We're in January, and by the time you've watching this, there's already been Christopher Ward events up and down the country. Time and Tide are doing very, very well in London. They've had one or two events as well. So yeah, January is already exploding in the horology world.
Excellent. So why don't we kick off with finding out, well, what's on your wrist, Kevin?
So I'm wearing the ORIS Honey, which is the Rake and Revolution collab they did probably about 5-6 years ago, probably even longer. I do love it. It's on a custom Jean Rousseau strap, and it's supposed to be reminiscent of the skin tone of the woman in Dr. No, I believe, by James Bond. But yeah, it's a very, very nice piece. Diver 65, you can't go wrong, and it's from ORIS, so yeah.
Excellent. How long have you had that in your collection?
I think it's about 5, 6, 7 years. I got it when it first came out. It was limited, so yeah, I remember getting the number I wanted, and the guys at Revolution sorted me out at the time. Yeah, great, love it. What about you? What are you wearing?
Well, I've got a reasonably new piece in my collection. It's a Hermes H08 carbon and titanium mix watch on a orange rubber strap. Simple, just three-hander with just a date function. But I really liked the Arabic numerals on the watch and the overall shape and wear of the watch as well. So I added that to the collection just a few months ago.
It's lovely.
I'm enjoying it ever since.
Excellent. Wow, Hermes.
Excellent. Something a bit different, I think, for me. I hadn't really looked at them as a brand for watches, at least. Obviously, we've known about them as a luxury brand for quite a while now. But I think they are slowly but surely starting to introduce more interesting watches for the community to look at beyond the kind of fashiony stuff that others have been doing.
They certainly are. Did look at them, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They did a very, very nice perpetual calendar, believe it or not, in platinum, limited to 100 worldwide. And I was pretty close in buying one. It wasn't too bad at the time. Sounds horrible, but it was about £27,000. But it was Hermes, and they didn't have the, so to say, the cachet they do have now. They're going through, certainly with regards to horology, they're going through a bit of an upturn when it comes to watches and the design, and everybody's talking about them at the moment. But I thought, yeah, 27,000 for a watch at the time was a lot. Platinum, it ticked all the boxes, but it certainly did. And there was only one left in the world, and it was from Australia, so they would have had to ship it down, and for that to happen I would have had to pay 50% deposits, and I wasn't sure about it, but there we go. Anyway, but they are certainly in vogue at the moment.
Thank you. Well, I think that covers our wrist checks, at least for today. Given this is the first show, and I think we probably need to spend a little bit of time introducing ourselves a little bit more properly, especially for those people that don't know us. So for our audience, the plan is for today, I'm going to interview Kevin so that we can all learn a little bit more about him. And then if you join us for next week's show, Kevin will do the same for me. You'll learn a little bit more about me as a collector. So let's move on to the interview. Are you ready, Kevin?
I am indeed. I'll give it my best shot.
You are well known in the watch collecting community, especially here in the UK. But for those that are not familiar, can you tell us a little bit more about some of your involvements?
Sure, I don't think I'm well known in the UK. I'm just somebody who just gets around a bit, probably far too much, according to my wife, but never mind. Just love going to events and see me popping up at various shows. But yeah, I've just been in the watch industry, not even the watch, just into horology. I'm not in the watch industry, I'm just a fan of horology for about, gosh, seriously, about 8, 9 years probably. Not longer than that. Prior to that, I just dabbled, and now I am the ORIS. I run ORIS London Social Club. I also founder of the Redbar Southeast chapter. I'm starting to get into writing, and now I'm doing this as well. But yeah, it all starts from a love of horology. Nothing more than that. I would love to get into the industry as a I don't know. I don't know what I could do in the watch industry, but I would love to get into it, marketing wise or whatever. I mean, yeah, I just love getting involved. I also run Best of British Watches, which takes place once a year down in Brighton. This is the third year. It's going to be happening. So yeah, I just wanted to get involved, and Red Bar, Ori Social Club, and now Best of British is the way I'm going at the moment.
So the ORIS Social Club is literally, as it says, is on the tin, for ORIS collectors, ORIS fans to occasionally get together and share ideas and stories and so on. But can you tell us a little bit more about Redbar? Again, some people watching this won't have any idea what Redbar is.
Sure. So Red Bar is a horological society started out in New York, and it's basically just gone worldwide. They have chapters. I think they have something like 86 chapters worldwide. They have various members in each one. They range from a couple of hundred to like 3, 4, 5,000. I think London is the biggest one. Red Bar is a charity, and they just have watch events, watch talks. People just meet up in pubs. And to be perfectly honest, if you go and speak to somebody, man on the street, about watches, they're just going to be bored. Very much so. So it's a free space for people just to talk about horology. These get-togethers we have, and yeah, it started in New York with Kathleen and Mr. Croniatis. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And it's just exploded from there. We have chapters in the UK. We have London, Southeast, which is the one I run, Solent, Bristol, Redbar, Leeds, Manchester, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Cambridge, Oxford. In the States, there are all over the States. You name it, there's any major city, there's one in there, and Europe as well. They're dotted all over the world. We have events. We have events with different brands every other week, so every other month probably, and the rest of the time we have just monthly meetups where we just bring a watch, talk about it, have a drink, go home, and look forward to the next one. So yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, that's basically what Red Bar is.
Sounds good. So let's go back in time a little bit. How did your collecting journey begin? Tell me more about your first sort of serious watch. Thought, okay, this is now starting to be a bit more of a collection going forward.
My first serious watch. I mean, I've always been into watches, even from a relatively young age, sort of late teens, early 20s. And at that time, I had no money. You know, starting out in the world, you've got no money. Came from a council estate, basically. But my first watch was probably to do with my first proper job in the construction industry. And as I say, I've always been interested in watches. And I got suckered into all the advertising and marketing with regards to John Travolta, who was, I think he was an ambassador for Breitling at the time. And I decided, I didn't do much research, but I knew what I wanted. I wanted a watch which had a dual time and also had an alarm, because I notoriously oversleep for most of the time. So I wanted something which would be on my wrist. I could set an alarm or 2 alarms, and definitely wake me up. And I ended up with a Breitling, any digital Breitling, which was very, very nice. And that was my very, very first sort of serious watch. I did have one or two we call fashion watches, like Gucci and one or two others. But that was my very, very first serious watch, and my wife was there when I bought it. I bought it on her birthday as a treat to myself. We went to Jersey and we loved it so much. Went there for a couple of days, and there was a jeweller's in there. And of course, at the time, Jersey, I think it probably still is, it's tax-free. So I had a chat with them at the time and wanted a Breitling watch. And they said, yeah, we don't have it in stock, but we can get it in. And obviously it was tax-free, so that was the main reason why I bought it. And they contacted me a couple of months later and said, your watch is coming in. And I decided to take my wife for her birthday over to Jersey as a birthday treat, unknown to her that I was buying a watch which I had ordered. So you killed two birds with one stone. She's forgiven me for that now, but yeah, it wasn't very nice at the time. So, we're going to Jersey for your birthday. However, I need to pop into this jeweller's and buy a watch myself. Yeah.
At some point, we're definitely going to have to explore the lengths that collectors go to purchase watches. But that's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
To kick that off. So, what do you enjoy about collecting watches and horology more generally?
I suppose nowadays it's the community. There are loads of different groups. So you've got the ORIS group. I'm sure there's ones for Jaeger-LeCoultre and Tissot, and they're all on the web. There's loads of forums coming up, and there's loads of people getting more and more involved. I suppose it's on the collecting side, there are loads of micro brands. I mean, there's, for any amount of money you want to spend, there is a watch suitable for you. If you wanted to spend £200 on a watch, you can get a very, very good micro brand, very well known one. If you've got £20,000 to spend, there's the, you start looking at the major brands, JLC, Omega, whatever. So, and there's everything in between, and there are lots and lots of range to pick up a watch, very, very good value at your price point, whatever that will be, because not everybody can afford a 20 grand watch. But most people can afford a £200 watch, and that's what I like about watch collecting. You've got a vast array of designs and choices, and when we have Redbar events, it doesn't matter. You don't have to come with a very expensive watch. You can come with a Casio or a G-Shock. We don't discriminate against you. We just want people who are interested in watches to come along, and that's what I like, the community side of things.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be following some of the spirits for this show. So obviously, not everything is sunshine and roses. There's always a bit of a dark side out there as well. What do you not enjoy about the hobby or the industry?
There's one or two things. I mean, obviously there's the Rolex bubble. The items are not for sale, they're for display, and you need history to purchase watches from a Rolex dealer. I don't enjoy that. If you've got the money, I mean, some people save up, years to purchase that one watch. They've got their eye on for years, and they desire. They go in and try and purchase it, and they say, well, you can't have it, even though it's probably in a safe, because you just don't have the purchase history. It shouldn't be like that. Not in any way. It shouldn't be like that. If a person desires that watch, and if it's available, why shouldn't they have it? And I mean, Rolex basically started it. There are other brands which are following that method of exclusivity, I suppose. I think that's how they justify it. They want to make their watches more exclusive, not for the common man, I suppose, but it's wrong. I totally disagree with that attitude and that way of thinking. Certainly Rolex, to a certain extent, Vacheron, Omega, they're all doing it. JLC, they're all doing it. They're all at it, trying to make it more exclusive than what it should be. And just totally disagree with that.
Yeah, no, I think I share a lot of those sentiments as well. Okay, last question from me. If you had to choose a favourite genre of watches, which would it be?
I do like... I'll tell you what it won't be. Let's start with that. It wouldn't be a pilot's watch. I'm not a fan of those. Okay. I do like complications, but generally, if you buy a watch with a complication, that means it's more expensive.
you find complications within genres, right? So I understand what you're getting at when you say complications, but realistically, most complications still fall within something else. So you said you don't like pilot watches.
Yeah.
Any other kind of genres that you speak to you?
Dress watches certainly do. Simple three-handers, because anybody can do a simple three-hander, and to make it special, there needs to be that. To me, there needs to be an X factor, i.e., the dial, the numerals need to be different. The dial needs to be different. It could be mother of pearl, could be a stone dial onyx. It could be the battens could be different. The loom on the dial could be different. On the indices could be different. It needs something to stand out. But yeah, you wouldn't have that on a dress watch. You wouldn't have loom on a dress watch as such. But you get the idea. Any three-handers needs to be different for it to speak to me. So I do like dress watches. Do like sports watches as well, and dive watches. There isn't anything I definitely do not like apart from pilot watches. And I'm still developing my taste as well. So in 5 years' time, I could say, oh, it's definitely not sports watches, for instance, or it's definitely not dress watches. My tastes have changed since I started seriously looking at watches, and it's going to continue to change.
So by then you could go full circle and come back to pilot watches and
No.
decide, right, I'm going to attack those, right?
Definitely not. But saying that, I do have one, and it is quite nice. So yeah. You never know.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, for sharing those intimate details and thoughts. So we're moving now on to the new segment of the show, where we will generally be looking at new releases, any industry news that comes through as well, and just really giving a bit of a view on what's been coming out and what's been happening. So let's kick it off with Kevin. Kevin, what's been on your radar so far this year?
Well, there's been two really good releases, both from ORIS at the moment. One of them is, obviously, I think everybody's heard about, is the Miss Piggy. It's a 36mm watch in pink with a pink dial, pink batons, and it is on their ProPilot X, part of their ProPilot X range. This is the first time it's been done in stainless steel, because generally it's in titanium. But it looks very, very nice. My only concern or criticism with this watch is the fact that Miss Piggy is on the back side. There's a small aperture on the back of the case back with her face protruding. Comparing this to the Kermit, which came out 2 years ago, I think it does Miss Piggy a disservice. I think she needs to be also front and centre on the dial somewhere, instead of being relegated to the case back. But it's a bit of fun. The pink is not really to my taste, but I can see why they've gone with it. And they've got the baguettes lab-grown diamonds at 12 o'clock, which is quite nice touch. But I think it should have been Miss Piggy on the front somewhere, even at 12 o'clock. Even maybe the same as Kermit at the date window at 6 o'clock. But it's a nice piece. And I'm sure they'll sell loads of them as well. So that's the Miss Piggy, which came out early January. And now mid-January, they've also released a new Diver 65. Now this one harks back to 1965, when ORIS first released their diver. It's a black dial. At the time it was a 36mm. This is now a 40mm. It's gone up in size, but the dial itself is a homage to the one that came out in 1965. It's got big indices, or big wording, or big lettering I should say, at 3, 6, 9 and 12. And it's also got the retro logo on it as well, which people do like, with the word waterproof underneath it. It's a nice piece. It is very, very nice. It's again added to the range of the Diver 65. The movement is a Sleater-based ORIS 733 movement, which is not their full in-house 10-year warranty movement, but it's a very, very good workhorse. So for pricing on the bracelet and the leather strap, just under £2,000, and that's a very very good price point. They will sell loads of these because it's a very handsome design. It's definitely unique out there. It's totally different to the current Diver 65s, and it's got my seal of approval most definitely.
I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. I'm a fan of this 65 release as well. I almost went for a very similar in aesthetic watch from Zodiac. It's one of the Super Seawolves that they have that has a similar kind of inverted numerals that they have. And recently, I believe last year, Yema released something a little bit similar
Okay.
as well. But I think out of those, this one's my favourite. It's obviously being produced by a brand which I have more confidence in. Miss Piggy?
Yes, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on the hiding of the branding. Also, I think the shade of pink is quite aggressive, probably a bit too aggressive for when you think of Miss Piggy. I'm not sure you necessarily think of that strong colour. I would have gone with a lighter tone, but I understand that they're trying to obviously put something different out there, and they've done candy pink before, so it wasn't going to be that kind of shade.
Exactly.
But this is beyond hot pink, if you know what I mean. It's very aggressive. Not for me. I certainly wouldn't buy it for my partner or anybody else. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure it'll have some followers out there that it'll do well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's 36mm, so it's definitely on the dainty side. I know 36mm watches is more of a unisex size nowadays, but I cannot see males wearing this one at all. It's strictly for females, and I think they will do well. It will do well. It's just a shame that the pink colour. Yeah, I do agree with you. It's a bit aggressive, and they should have really just put Miss Piggy on the front and centre somehow.
So I have to mention a little bit of a correction. The watch is 34mm.
Oh, it's 34mm.
Yeah, not 36.
God.
But I imagine because it's a PROPILOT model, those do wear very large. So actually, it probably is closer to a 36 when you think about the lug-to-lug on that watch. I mean, certainly I found, I'm normally happy to wear a 40mm, 42mm watch, but those PROPILOTs wear large on my wrist, quite large. Just one final point on the branding. I know what you're saying, but at the same time, I think about all the Bond releases that Omega have done in the past, and recently the big hit has been that 60th anniversary Seamaster that they did, where all of the kind of co-branding references to Bond was hidden on the back.
Yep.
Nothing at all on the front. In fact, the only way you'd really know is if you knew of the model, or if you spotted that the 60 was at the top of the bezel, as opposed to your usual diver marker. I quite like the subtlety of it.
Yes.
But this is quite different. I know what you mean. Kermit got his face on it, although still in a quite hidden way in the date wheel. I suppose Miss Piggy deserves a bit of a recognition there.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And so yes, I do agree with you about the Bond 60th. I do like that touch with the 60 numeral at the top of the bezel. That's a very, very good. And if you know, you know. That does differentiate from all the other Seamasters which are out there. And I do like the animation on the back side, in the case back, which is exposed, where you see Bond walking across and getting his gun out. That's a very, very nice touch. They've done that. That's a very, very good execution to celebrate Bond and the 60th anniversary. With regards to ORIS, it's not great. It's not great. They could have done better. They should have done better. We just have to wait for another version in 2 years' time with another Muppet coming through, and hopefully it will be a better release then, better design and better release.
What do you want? Do you want Cookie Monster, Elmo?
I like Animal or Cookie Monster. We'll see. Hopefully they do produce another one. I mean, it's a good collaboration, absolutely 100%, and I can see it working. Certainly more in the States than in the UK, because Disney have got the rights. I think the Muppets are still running in some shape or form.
Well, for those of you watching on your screens, do let us know what you think of these two releases. Comment down below and let us know what would be your next the next Muppet that you'd like to see featured in the next ORIS collab watch. Let's move on now to Omega, who have just released a new set of Speedmasters. This time it's a little bit of an update, and you could argue an upgrade as well, to one of the more higher end Speedmasters that they offer, and that is the Moonphase watch. If you can see my screen, and you can see next to me is my own personal Moonphase Speedmaster. It's one of the first Speedmasters I bought and added to my collection. Definitely one of the higher end models that they offer, and they've seen that for some time. They've obviously done various variants of this, including ceramic watches, two-tone with golds, and so on. And so I'm not totally surprised that we're seeing these two new releases. The two are hot of the heels of the success of the moon swatches, especially the latest editions that came out that had the mission to Earth, where they included also a moon phase. And you can see that the North-South Hemisphere application of the moon phase has now been included in these new Speedmasters. But what really differentiates them, and I think what allows Omega to raise their prices considerably, which we'll come on to that, is the use of meteorite on the dials. Now, there is a bit of an upgrade as well, particularly in the sizing of these new releases. Both the dark black shaded meteorite dial and also the more traditional grey with blue accent dials have the same size, but they are measuring in at 43 millimeters in case diameter, with a thickness of 13.6 millimeters and a lug-to-lug of 48.6 millimeters. When you compare that to the older model, it has actually come down. I think hopefully makes these watches a little bit more wearable. The older model, like I said, which I own, has a case diameter of 44.25 millimeters, a huge thickness of 16.9 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug of 50 millimeters. I will admit it is at the limits of my just under sort of 7-inch wrist, 17 centimeter wrist. But the way that Omega always does its bracelets, whereby the links articulate amazingly well and they basically droop straight down, allows it to still be very wearable. Nevertheless, I do think that the shrinkage of the watch, especially making it slimmer, I mean, to come down from nearly 17 mil to 13.6, still retaining the pointer date, still retaining the bicompax chronograph, I think is really good, the Moonphase. The only thing I've noticed that is missing is now the automatic nature of the watch. It's become a manual wind movement. So that's helped shave down the thickness quite a bit. Kevin, what do you think? Are you liking the improvements or the changes in the dimensions of this watch? What do you think overall?
I just want to hark back to something I said earlier about complications, and in my opinion, the Moonphase complication is probably the least. It shouldn't be used at all because there's just no point. By the time you set it up, it doesn't do anything apart from show you the location of the moon, which is useless basically. So apart from that, I do like the watch. There are some hits and some misses with this. I mean, I do prefer the grey and the blue colour version. That's nice. I mean, the mother of pearl does, not mother of pearl, the meteorite does pop on that. But it's just the size is quite thick and also it's still quite big, 43 mil. That's still a lot of watch on your wrist, where most brands now are looking at 40, 41. Omega are still looking at that sort of size watch in their catalogue. I can wear it perfectly, but I do feel sorry for people with smaller wrists. The other thing I do not like about this is the price point. This is now £16,000, is that correct?
£16,100. The older sort of normal black version is, I mean, the price of that has also gone up quite a lot, but that's now priced at £10,900.
Wow.
But, for example, you can compare it also to some of the blue ceramic versions. The most expensive blue ceramic version that I can see here is £14,200. I mean, unless you're going solid gold, this is going to be the more expensive new edition of these Speedmaster Moonphases.
Yes, I mean, I know that the movement's different. It's gone through a manual wind from automatic, which, as you say, makes it makes it thinner. Is a automatic more expensive than a manual wind? Possibly. So there should be a saving there, but it's far too much money. And meteorite, yes, okay, it's a limited resource. It has to be shaved, has to be inserted, and I wonder what the failure rate is of meteorite dial, or sort of meteorite in inserting it in the dial. But still, it's a lot of money for what it is. There are other brands out there which have meteorite, and they are significantly cheaper. Obviously, the movement is different. I mean, there is Zodiac came out with one last year, and that was about $2,000. Obviously, it's a manual wind watch, but still, it just shows that what can be done at various price points. If you're looking for an interesting dial, go with Zodiac. You don't have to spend £16,000 to get meteorite, basically. And there are other brands out there as well. That's the only one that springs to mind. What are your thoughts on it, on price point on this?
Overall, I like the watches. I agree that the pricing has gone very high. I mean, we're talking about more money than a Snoopy or many of the other limited editions out there. So it's a very tough one to swallow. I can see why they've done it. Their big competitor with the Crown has done something similar with some of its watches, introducing meteorite, and they've upcharged quite a bit for it. I think we have to put it into perspective in that meteorite is more expensive to use, but not that much more expensive.
Oh, I agree.
It should be a few £100s as an uplift charge. Now, some of the manufacturers will come back and say, well, look, there are different grades of meteorites, there are different qualities of meteorite. And I understand, I get it. Do we see the benefit of that? Maybe not. Can most collectors tell the difference? No,
definitely not.
So.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a marketing ploy to be able to push these prices up. From that perspective, it's a little bit disappointing. But I think more generally, Omega is trying to shift its positioning in the market towards the higher end of the mid to luxury tier. Whereas in the past, especially its Speedmaster range, were considered to be more tool watchy in their positioning and their pricing. And I think they want to raise that up now and move away from that lower level.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, the Big Crown, they have one in their collection. I mean, the first one I can think of is the GMT Pepsi, which is a meteorite dial, but that's also white gold. So you are not just paying for the meteorite dial, you're paying for white gold, and that's just under 40k, I assume. Between 35 and 40, I can imagine. And yeah, but they don't have it in their lower range at this moment in time, and I think Omega are trying to press upon the fact that they are a luxury brand, and to become a luxury brand, their ethos is to push the prices up, and I disagree with that. There are other ways to become a very luxurious, exclusive brand, and just putting prices up is not the way to go. But with Swatch Group, they do have other brands within their group, i.e. Rado, Swatch themselves, Hamilton, and there is some sort of overlap between on price point, and not just design, but on price point as well. And I think Omega are trying to differentiate themselves from the other brands within the Swatch Group by pushing the prices up, but also Rolex do not have that. They do not have this factor when they look at pricing and also doing their designs. I mean, Tudor is one brand, or is their sister brand, but there's nothing like that in their range at this moment in time, and their prices are significantly cheaper than Rolex's. There is no cross between, I can buy a Pelagos for £5,000 or £4,000. Is there a Rolex in that range that I can buy? No, there isn't.
Well, dear viewers, what do you think? Let us know your views on the OMEGA Speedmaster Moonphase Meteorites releases, and whether you like them, dislike them, think they're worth the money that OMEGA is asking for them. Let us know in the comments down below.
So, thank you all for joining us on this first edition of many, we hope, going forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll be the first to know when we will be doing another video. Azar, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram under az.time, and you can also find my other YouTube channel, again, az.time, where I predominantly do a lot of unboxing videos. What about you, Kevin? Where can people find you?
They can find me basically on Instagram. It's Kevin _Roberts 100, or obviously ORIS Social Club. Have a look in Instagram for that for London, or Redbar Southeast. Have a look again on Instagram for that as well. But say thank you. Please like, subscribe again. Comment in the bottom what you think of the video, how we can make it better. Tell us what your thoughts are on the watch reviews we've done, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.